Hello, I'm Nigel Lithgow, and this is The Enemy Within, the quiz show with 5 contestants, one of whom has been given the answers to all the questions. That person is the enemy, whose only aim is to keep their identity a secret throughout the game. It's up to the other contestants to uncover them. Let's meet them. Terry Errington from Newcastle, Sam Matthews from Telford, Mick Westwell from Maidstone, Jane Woodward from Wrexham, and Callum Anderson from Edinburgh. Now, none of us have met each other before now, and like you, I have no idea who the enemy is. All we know is that one of you is a cheat and a liar, and must keep their identity hidden from everyone, the studio audience, the viewers at home, and especially you. If you cannot find the enemy, they will cheat you out of all of your winnings today. So let's meet our first enemy suspect. Terry Errington, you're a trainee accountant. We asked you, have you ever cheated before?
Yeah, I once cheated at university. We were playing poker for money, and I'm not very good at cards, so I thought I'd cheat a little. And I set up a mirror behind my friend so I could see his cards. And I also started following the cards through the pack, and I had a few on my knee as well. But I still managed to lose all my money.
So you cheated badly?
Yeah, bad cheater.
Well, we all know that today, if our enemy cheats well, they're going to walk off with everybody else's money. So, Terry Errington, are you the enemy?
No, Nigel, I'm not the enemy.
Then I'm going to ask you 3 questions. Each question is worth £25. If you pass on it or answer incorrectly, I will throw it open for a bonus. And remember, the way people answer questions will give you clues as to whether they are the enemy or not. Let's start round 1. The euro coins of which country have an eagle motif surrounded by European stars?
USA?
I'm going to throw it open. Jane?
Germany?
Correct. Rather surprised you're an accountant. You didn't know that, Terry.
A bit unsure.
A little bit unsure. Sebastian Coe won the same event in 2 consecutive Olympic Games. At which distance?
1,500 metres.
Correct. In 2001, Martine McCutcheon played the lead in which West End musical?
My Fair Lady?
She did indeed. So the only question you got wrong there was about coinage. But then again, you cheated at school, didn't you, when you took your maths exam? You had all of the answers written on the side of your calculator, Terry, didn't you?
I did.
I wonder if you're cheating us now. Let's meet our next enemy suspect. Sam Matthews, the communications officer. Let's see what you said when we asked you, when do you think cheating is acceptable?
I think cheating is acceptable when telling my children that all the mechanical toys around the centre are broken so that I don't spend all of my money on them before I actually get into the shops. I also tell them when the music on the ice cream man comes that he has no ice creams.
Oh, you're lying to your children, Sam. And you think that's acceptable?
It's for their own good.
For their own good. Well, I'm sure you'll find it acceptable to lie to everybody today if you are the enemy. Sam Matthews, are you the enemy?
No, Nigel, I'm not the enemy.
Your 3 questions, each one of them's worth £25. One may acquire the gift of the gab by kissing which Irish stone?
The Blarney Stone.
Correct. In 1999, which part of Indonesia voted for independence?
I don't know.
Throwing it open. Mick?
Sarawak?
No, it was East Timor. Quite interesting, though, that no one buzzed in, because certainly the enemy knows all the answers. Which daytime presenter is married to TV chef Phil Vickery, Sam? Throwing it open, Jane.
Fern Britton.
Correct. Only one of your questions right there, Sam. Let's move on to our 3rd enemy suspect. Mick Westwell's a police business manager. We asked him, have you ever cheated on your friends?
So I must confess I have cheated at golf once or twice. When the game's been dragging on a bit and I'm in danger of losing, I've relocated the ball to a better position. I didn't feel good about it, and I'm sure they wouldn't be my friends if they knew.
I'm sure they wouldn't, Mick. And I'm sure you will have no friends here today if you're the enemy. Mick Westwell, are you the enemy?
No, I'm not, Nigel.
Your 3 questions. In the phonetic alphabet, which dance is used to represent the letter F?
Fandango.
Throwing it open. Jane.
Foxtrot.
Correct. In which country is Maastricht?
Belgium.
Throwing it open. Terry?
Is it Austria?
No, it's Holland. James Cameron won the Best Director Oscar in 1997 for which film?
Titanic.
Correct. I'm surprised you didn't get your first couple of questions right there, Mick. I wonder if you're trying to throw us off the scent. They're only worth £25 at this point, so you don't have to get them right. We'll see. Let's meet our fourth enemy suspect, Jane Woodward, a publisher. We asked her, how do you feel about cheating?
I think cheating's terrible. I hate people who cheat. I've been on the receiving end of cheating by an old boyfriend, and frankly I think cheats deserve everything they get, and it's not something I'd ever do myself.
Why do you feel like that?
I think cheating's reprehensible in sport or in life. I don't know how people can live with themselves if they've cheated in order to get somewhere, and it's just something I don't really like.
I'm sure the enemy is going to live with themselves today if they manage to cheat you out of your money. Unless, of course, you're the enemy. Jane Woodward, are you the enemy?
No, Nigel, I'm not a cheat.
Your three questions. Which 2001 film starred Vinnie Jones as an ex-England player sent to jail for drunk driving?
The Mean Machine.
Correct. Which Gulf state was occupied by Iraq for 7 months from August 1990?
Kuwait.
Correct. In 1994, Pelé became Brazil's minister for what?
Sport.
Correct. Good answers, Jane. 3 out of 3. And no cheating, eh?
No cheating.
We'll see. Let's move to our final enemy suspect, Callum Anderson, a bar manager. We asked him, would you cheat on a relative?
I have actually already cheated on my young brother. Took him a few years ago to see Eddie Kidd, the motorcyclist stunt rider. And after the show, he was signing autographs for the children. And the queue was about 200 children. Rather than waiting in the queue, I told him that I knew Eddie Kidd personally, and I would get his autograph for him. I went behind the caravan, wrote Eddie Kidd's name on the programme, gave it to my brother, and to this day he still doesn't know it's not Eddie Kidd's autograph he's got.
So you've kept up that pretense for how long, Callum?
12 or 15 years now.
15 years. Well, if you're the enemy today, you won't have to keep up that pretense for so long. Callum Anderson, are you the enemy?
No, Nigel, I'm not the enemy.
Your three questions, each one's worth £25. Which is Britain's oldest university?
Cambridge?
Throwing it open. Terry.
Is it Oxford?
It is Oxford. In fact, Cambridge was actually founded by dissident Oxford students. In which TV series did Chardonnay and Kyle enjoy a Posh and Beck-style wedding?
Footballers' wives?
Correct. The 1997 Convention on Climate Change was held in which Japanese city, Callum?
Tokyo?
Throwing it open. Mick.
Kyoto.
It was Kyoto. Well, that's the end of that round, and I'm not going to reveal your running totals at this point. Only our viewers at home will see them. All I will tell you is that Jane is currently our leader. You must decide whether that was through brains or because she was cheating. And you at home must make that decision as well, because at the end of the next round, I'll be opening up the telephone lines in order to allow you to phone in if you believe you know who the enemy is. Our next round's a buzzer round. Anybody can join in. Have your hands ready on the buzzers. Each question is worth £50. And remember, it's not just about answering the questions, it's how other people are answering those questions that will give you the clues you're going to need to decide who the faker is as we play round 2. Who was the first host of the Generation Game? Mick.
Bruce Forsyth.
Correct. What is the British equivalent of the American term cotton candy? Sam.
Candy floss.
Correct. What was the nickname of landscape gardener Lancelot Brown? Mick.
Capability Brown.
Correct. The archer represents which sign of the zodiac? Jane.
Sagittarius.
Correct. Of what is deltiology the study? Terry.
Is it bones?
It is not. Throwing it open. Jane.
Rivers.
No, it's postcards. Who was voted BBC Sports Personality of the Year 2001? Callum.
David Beckham?
Correct. Which Irish novelist wrote the 1897 vampire story Dracula? Callum.
James Joyce?
It wasn't. I'll finish the question. Which Irish novelist wrote the 1897 vampire story Dracula? Sam.
Bram Stoker.
Correct. The springbok is the national emblem of which country? Mick.
South Africa.
Correct. Henry J. Waternoose and Randall are characters from which Disney film? Sam.
Monsters, Inc.
Correct. What number was the title of the Paul Hardcastle hit in 19... Terry.
19.
Correct. I'm still not going to tell you your individual scores at the end of that round. All I can tell you is that Mick and Jane are now in the lead. But does that mean they're the enemy? I wonder what you're all thinking. It's been a difficult one. Terry, have you got any thoughts? Who do you think the enemy is and why?
I think Callum might be the enemy.
Why?
Just when you originally asked him if he was the enemy, you had a sort of knowing smile.
A knowing smile.
Yeah.
Sam, who do you think the enemy is and why?
I think Jane is the enemy.
Why?
Because I don't believe that nobody tells little white lies. I think we all tell little white lies.
Mick, who do you think the enemy is?
I think it's Terry.
Terry. Why?
I think he's playing a very cagey game with his answers so far.
He's an accountant, a lot of creative accountancy occurring at the moment, huh? Jane.
I think it's Terry,
Why?
because I think he's too young to remember Paul Hardcastle.
He's saying no. What do you remember about it, Terry?
I think it set some sort of record for the fastest selling. I'm quite into pop music, and it set fastest #1 or something like that,
Did it?
I think.
I wonder. Callum, who do you think the enemy is and why?
I think the enemy is Jane.
Really?
Because she's got a variety of subjects correct, including football. And
Really? Well, Terry and Jane, the fingers are sort of pointing at the pair of you at the moment. If you're not the enemy, then you're being framed, and the enemy is playing a very clever game. If either of you are the enemy, then you need to be careful, because obviously at this moment in time, you're being watched. So we've heard our contestants' views. They're picking up on Terry and Jane, but what do you think at home? If you believe you know who the enemy is, then telephone in. If you think it's Terry, then call 0901 383 4141. If you think it's Sam, then call 0901 383 4142. If you think it's Mick, then call 0901 383 4143. If you think it's Jane, then call 0901 383 4144. If you think it's Callum, then call 0901 383 4145. 5 randomly selected winners will each receive £200. The lines will be open until the end of our final round, and calls cost 25 pence. We'll move on to our third round, which is where I'm going to ask you 3 questions each on a specific subject. Every question is worth £75. Your problem is you haven't chosen that specific subject, so it's quite possible that you won't get any of the answers right, unless, of course, you've already been given them. You're going to have to make your decision soon. Time is running out. Let's move into round 3. Terry, your specific subject is foreign expressions. In 1985, which country introduced a policy of glasnost, or openness?
Is that Russia?
It is USSR or Russia, absolutely. Which Latin expression means, let the buyer beware?
Don't know.
Throwing it open. Mick.
Caveat emptor.
Correct. Mick, do you know what let the enemy beware is in Latin? Terry. Which form of entertainment means empty orchestra in Japanese?
Karaoke.
Correct. How did you know that?
That was just a guess, and I remembered back to the days when I used to watch Blue Peter, and they had a cat called Carrie and one called Okie. Just came to it.
All right. I wonder. We'll move to you, Sam. Your specialist subject is cocktails. Do you enjoy drinking?
I do.
You might do very well with this. Used in cocktails, grenadine is traditionally made from which fruit?
Lime.
Throwing it open. Mick.
Tangerines.
No, it's pomegranate. What name is given to a cocktail of rum, lime juice, and cola?
Black Russian.
Throwing it open. Mick.
Cuba Libre.
Cuba Libre is right. Inspired by actress Marjorie King, what spirit base is used to make a margarita?
Tequila.
Correct. One of your 3 questions right there, Sam. You're obviously better at drinking them than talking about them.
Obviously.
Mick, we'll move across to you. Your specialist subject is lakes. Africa's Lake Kariba was made by damming which river in the 1950s?
Zambezi.
Correct. In which country are Lake Como and Lake Garda?
Italy.
Correct. Which is the largest of America's Great Lakes?
Lake Erie.
Throwing it open. Jane.
Michigan.
No, Lake Superior. Surprised you didn't know that one, Mick. You've done very well with Zambezi and Italy. And you must move about in your job. At one point you had a job as a demolition expert, didn't you?
Sort of, yes.
Unfortunately, you made a little bit of a mistake on one of those explosions where you thought it was all going to go about 50 meters to the left, and it went 50 meters to the right, didn't it, Mick?
Yes, it did, which was quite unfortunate because there were a few things in between that 50 metres.
Yes.
Got moved suddenly.
About £1 million worth of damage, I think that caused.
Was it that much?
It was, Mick. Jane, we'll move across to you, and your specialist subject is fashion designers. Which designer was born in Merthyr Tydfil in 1925 as Laura Mountney?
Laura Ashley.
Correct. Who designed the wedding dress of Lady Diana Spencer?
The Emanuels.
Correct. David and Elizabeth Emanuel. Which British designer launched her miniskirt in 1966?
Mary Quant.
Correct. Again, 3 out of 3, Jane. It's almost as though you've seen the questions and know all the answers.
No, they were just sort of rightly timed for my era and clothes sense.
We'll move across to you, Callum. Your specialist subject is Hitchcock. Whose motel provided the setting for the 1960 Hitchcock thriller Psycho?
Bates Motel.
Correct. In which Hitchcock movie was James Stewart confined to his apartment with a broken leg? Throwing it open, Mick.
Mischief.
No, it was Rear Window. Hitchcock's The Birds was based on a short story by the Rebecca author. Who was she?
Don't know.
Throwing it open. Jane.
Daphne du Maurier.
Correct. Well, that's the end of the 3rd round, and for the first time I can now reveal to you your cash totals, and for our viewers at home, a chance to look at those telephone lines again before they're closed at the end of the final round. Callum, you have £150. Sam, you have £250. Terry, you have £275. Mick, you have £500. And Jane, you have £500. So Mick and Jane are our current leaders. What you've got to do, though, is ask yourselves, is that because they know the answers or because they've seen the answers? Let's take a moment to think before we move on to our next round. Terry, you're there on £275, and I know some stories about you that would frighten me a little bit. That when you were on holiday, you actually stole some mayonnaise, swapped it with an old couple's suntan lotion so that they put mayonnaise all over themselves.
Yeah.
Strange thing to do, Terry.
There was lots of wasps in the resort, and we didn't target old people, but we just thought it'd be funny if someone sort of put suntan cream all over them, and they had like hundreds of wasps after them.
Very funny, Terry. Sam, that was with somebody he didn't know. But you with a friend, Sam, when you fell out with her years ago as a child, made up by handing her a sandwich.
I did.
What was in that sandwich, Sam?
It was the remainder of the food from the rabbit hutch.
So these are the type of characters we're dealing with. Mick, I'm surprised you didn't get the foxtrot question right, because you're actually working with the police at the moment, aren't you?
Correct.
Very strange. You're also a big Man United fan, aren't you?
I am,
And
yeah.
Jane, you're a Man United fan.
I am, yeah.
Do you know that Mick actually saw the European Cup final in 1968, Mick, didn't you, at Old Trafford? Apart from Mick, you tell everybody that you saw it there. Only one thing wrong with that statement, Mick, isn't there?
There was, yes.
It actually took place at Wembley.
Yes, it did.
So good at lies. Jane, you've said that you don't like cheating, you don't like lying, but you don't always tell the truth, really, do you? Because when you were pregnant, you didn't let on. You used to eat all the biscuits in the office, didn't you?
That's not really lying.
No, it was hiding the truth. Sometimes that can be described as a lie, Jane.
Well, I can't really hide it any longer.
And Callum, you are a good liar. You once told an American that you'd actually fed the Loch Ness Monster.
It was a part-time job I had.
Really? And they believed you?
Yes.
So much so that you were on American radio
Yes.
talking about it. We have got liars here. We have got cheats here. You're going to have to make the decision which of you is the enemy as we move into our final round and a chance for you all to dramatically increase your totals. The first question is going to be worth £100. Anyone can buzz in. If the question is answered correctly, the prize money for the next question goes up by £25, but the questions will not be offered across. One final thought, is it the person in the lead or the person that's hanging back here? That is the enemy. You need to decide at the end of this, our final round. The Ponte Vecchio spans the River Arno in which city? Mick.
Venice.
It's Florence for £100 still. With which sport is a 6'6" American Michael Jordan? Callum.
Basketball.
Correct for £125. Spaghetti, butternut and patty pan are all types of which vegetable? Jane.
Squash.
Correct for £150. Who was the architect of St Paul's Cathedral? Mick.
Christopher Wren.
Correct for £175. What name is given to a young swan? Sam.
Signet.
Correct. £200. Davina McCall played matchmaker on city streets in which TV dating game? Sam.
Street mate.
Correct for £225. On weather maps, isotherms link points of equal what? Terry.
Pressure.
It's temperature. For £225, who composed Begin the Beguine and Night and Day? It was Cole Porter. That's strange because the enemy knew that answer. For £225 still, Ginza is a famous shopping district in which capital city? Sam.
New York.
It's Tokyo. Still for £225, which Friends actress starred opposite Mark Wahlberg in the 2001 film Rockstar? Sam.
Justin.
Is correct. Well, that is the end of the questions and our telephone lines are now closed. Here are your final totals. Callum, you have £250. Terry, you have £275. Jane, you have £625. Mick, you have £650. And Sam, you have £850, which makes you today's winner. However, that might be the closest you ever get to that money. It can still be stolen from you because the enemy is still within. In a moment, I'm going to be asking you to nominate who you believe today's enemy is. You must agree by a majority. In the event of a split decision, then the audience vote will be decisive, whether you agree with it or not. It's now time for that audience vote. So audience, who is the enemy? Well, at this stage, our audience's vote will only be seen by our viewers at home. You've now had time to think, and you're about to answer the most important question today. Terry, who is the enemy?
Sam.
Sam, who is the enemy?
Terry.
Mick, who is the enemy?
Terry.
Jane, who is the enemy?
Terry.
Callum, who is the enemy?
Sam.
Well, Samantha, Mick and Jane all point the finger at you, Terry. But are they right? Will the real enemy now stand up? Well done, Sam. Congratulations. Sit down. You've outwitted all your fellow contestants today, and I have to say, you outwitted the audience as well, who thought that Jane was the enemy. Sam, was there any point there that you thought you'd made a mistake?
I think I played the game how I wanted to play it.
Well, I've got to say, I couldn't pick you up on anything. I thought you answered all of the questions about kids and kids things like Monsters Inc. brilliantly. They were the ones you would know about.
I answered questions that I knew I knew.
Really? The other three let you down, really, Terry, didn't they? Because you thought it was Sam.
Yeah.
What made you think it was Sam?
I thought at the start she was quite quiet, which is what I would be if I was the enemy. And I thought she picked it up a bit on the questions that I would have thought she would have got right.
Mick, you didn't. You're going to lose £650 because of that. Why didn't you spot her?
I think it was the gallop towards the end when she was answering all the questions. I thought, well, no, it can't be her.
Well, you played a brilliant game. As I say, you've outwitted them, and you are going to go home with what you justly deserve, which is all of their money, which adds up to £2,650.
Thank you very much.
Well, that's all for today. Our cheat has gotten away scot-free from our audience and our contestants, but not 5 of you lucky winners out there. You'll each receive £200. But it does prove that good cheating can prosper on the enemy within. See you next time, and remember, keep your friends close and your enemies even closer.
And this is Nasty Yourself and Robinson's The Weakest Link at 5:15 on BBC Two Wales.